Okay, let's look on our object world browsers right here. So this is our object, and this is created to all object, everything, lighting, clouds, water, whatever we're using inside our View application. By default, it's also created with a ground and two cameras, main and top camera, and sunlight. After this, if we added any additional, for example, the water level like here, see, objects like treehouse I added, it will edit after in displaying. It will display in hierarchy. Most time it's not important order, except when you start placing like a planets, it's one another one basis, so we'll look on that one as well. When you start work with Boolean operations, the order will be important in this case. So most time it's not. Personally, when I work, I do like to separate them by layers. So to create new layer, if you view Extreme Infinity or other ones, you can just click on new layer. It's created right here, new layer. You can double time click to modify name of the layer if you want it. It's helpful to sort. And to move object, you just click and drag and place them inside this. By separating, it will help you when you have a gbuffer rendering or multiple, so you can separate by layers. Separate also organize better. As well, you notice right here we have icons where you display eye. If you click again, it will lock. So it's meaning I cannot modify these items and layers or make invisible. And I quite bit often when I work with the large sceneries, I make it invisible for some layers. For example, if I have a large amount of the ecosystem on a background, like on a video card, I may create a layer, move object or ecosystem or some trees in this layer, make it invisible while I work on another one. So you notice right here, you cannot see, but video card respond much faster. This object, even set invisible, they're still rendering. So right here, when I start render, they will be visible inside my render, but they do not visible in my work windows. This way you can accelerate, make faster, or remove it and hide them so you can easily see some other objects maybe hiding behind them. And this is a way to organize, at least it's what I do, but it's up to you. If you're using different versions like complete or other ones, you think I had only 10 layers, you can use it. Infinity Extreme, you can create unlimited amount of the layers. So this is other options. Next, right here till we look on the bottom, we create new layer. We can delete it, select objects. We can edit selected objects. We can export selected objects. For example, if we select tree, which are proper, so we can go ahead and export in different type of format. And we'll look on those ones more closer in export import section. And next one is actually very important to notice here. It is graph, or think about this. It's function editor is what we'll go use it. For many objects we can access directly, but for example sun, if I want to link sun to some actions using function editor or manipulating, I need to select here, and this is icon right here which has helped me to access function editor for specifically sunlight. Now I can modify all properties or dreaming links and creating very complex interaction by using function editor. Function editor, it's a quite a bit have a lot of information here, and we'll have quite a bit extensive tutorials to going over this. So just for now, just know right here we have it function editor where we can access to some object. Some of them, like for example, if we're creating fast, let's create just terrain. Some objects you can just right click and access from here to function editor. Okay, some you can edit objects, and for example right here terrain, and you can access if from there. But objects that you cannot access directly, you can click go from object, or obviously you can go and access from the object and from this point as well. Okay, so that is options right here. Let me go ahead and delete this terrain. Okay, next you'll notice like on a treehouse we have 103 materials. Next tab is help us to look on all of these materials. So you can see it's display of all our materials. I can select by clicking on specific material. If it's more than in one places, it will select. And this is options. If you remember, we have it in File Options, where we have it select material when we click on one. You remember these options right here. So this is what related to this. So currently by default, I like to select material, and I want this material selected like right here, copper in every instance. So if I modify it, I can modify this material everywhere. Of course, I can anytime going and just select specifically, but it will relate just to that. So select all instances of this. From here, you can always replace material if you want it. So you can just double time click and it will open material editor. So you can go from this point modified. You also can select copy, reset, load it, override this material. A new in View 11, make a global, and we'll look on this. If you want to know, you can watch what's new in View 11 when I highlight what does this option do. So we have some additional stuff here. You can rename it by double time click. Okay, options. Also, the other options that is important, you can preload it. It's kind of mentioned, but you can override and load it different materials, which is applied to all this instance. So for example, if you have an object that is baked with already materials and you cannot extract them, so you can change those materials on the object even it's all baked together kind of. Okay, so right here we also have options. You can see standard material tab. If we're using plants, it will be extend here. If we have an ecosystem, like currently we have an ecosystem, it's showing all the materials, including the ecosystem materials that we're using. And separately using this ecosystem materials that utilize the ecosystem itself. For example, it's lawn grass right here, what I'm using, and a lawn grass right here material just for this grass. So if you want to modify it, you can easy going and modify it. For example, if I want to make fall looking kind of yellowish grass, I can just go ahead, apply it, make yellow, and now you'll notice it's applied. And grass right here instead green will be yellow. So it's much easier and faster access this way. The couple things also need to be noticed. Right on our right side, we have highlighters. Highlighters, it will take this specific material and not replacing, but kind of overlay with different colors so we can easily find. For example, right here I have it, let me find like a roof. I can go click on a highlighter for this and set with a green. And so when I look, for example, on something, the roof will be start looking green for me, so I can easy to identify this. You can click to uncheck. It does not replace or change material. It just kind of temporary overlay with the color that you're using. It's help again to identify specific materials and places. Okay, on the bottom right here, you'll notice we have it edit material options, replace it, and as well material graph. So if you have some options that may be already embedded or baked in on the material and you want to modify, you can select the material. You can go and graph, and from this point right here you can modify in function editor this material or adjust or do any other options you prefer. Okay, our next one, it is library, and right here we just have a type of different object of the library. So master object. When we start using some with links, you'll notice the master objects will kind of increase, and mostly it is looking on the links, which one the link to what one. So you can kind of look when they bake it. These options, when we start work with animations and motions, we'll use it this area, and we'll come back to this to look second. Overall, you kind of know it's here. You always can go modify it if you need to bake it. Okay, and just some additional options. We have an ecosystem library as well as global. The links is kind of important when you start using with materials. Sometimes you notice maybe if it's baked or kind of built together, it's using JPEG images like right here, and you want to modify them. You can always go ahead, click and see where's the location of this image. Also, you can assign that to specific editor, and by the clicking you can go and modify and edit this texture. Some textures are locked, so you cannot do too much with them. Also, like for example this image, you can downsample and do all other options. For example, this is just teeny tiny picture right here, so if we click, we can go ahead and open and preview in if you wanted edited this specific image. Okay, currently we have a texture map right here, and if we're going down below, we can find right here library for our objects. So overall, think about this is take all what we have it and separate it on this object. Again, right here we can go ahead and replace it, links with different objects. We can incorporate, copy texture. So it's a little bit more advanced. And again, when we start this one, so when we work with import, export objects, we'll look on this one a little bit closer. Okay, also, if you have a broken link or broke link, you can specify then. On the bottom, we have our replace link, export link if you have it, reload link, and delete link to specific object. Again, it won't delete this object, it will just remove the link to this object or to the texture from our model. So here's a kind of overview the screen. Let's very fast just look on the bottom because we have just a little bit, and we can jump after to create something more fun. So we'll skip all this boring stuff we're doing. Right on the bottom we have an amount of CPUs. We also have it magnification, how many objects, and we have it polygons. This is kind of more important on the bottom because you can check and enable resources, what percentage is available. Also GPU resources, how much available. Normally I keep it by polygons. It does help me to see when I kind of come to the limits how many polygons use it. Vue easy handling billions and billions of polygons, so it's kind of nice about this, but just keep it in information so you can know what kind of resources currently available for you.